Have you ever noticed that the things we want the most often seem to be the hardest to get? The promotion you've dreamed about, the relationship you've been longing for, the business you've spent years trying to build. We pour our hearts into these goals because we believe that once we finally have them, everything else will fall into place. But life has a strange habit of refusing to reward desperation. Think about the last time you wanted something so badly that it consumed your thoughts. Maybe it was a job interview. You spent days preparing, rehearsing every possible question and imagining the perfect outcome. Yet when the moment arrived, your mind went blank. You stumbled over words you knew by heart and walked away wondering what happened. Or perhaps it was someone you deeply wanted to be with. The more you feared losing them, the more you overthought every conversation, sought constant reassurance, and tried to control the relationship. Ironically, the very fear of losing them became the thing that pushed them away. This pattern appears everywhere. Athletes call it choking under pressure. Entrepreneurs make desperate decisions that destroy promising businesses. Students who know the answers freeze during exams. In each case, the problem isn't a lack of talent or preparation. It's that the desire for one particular outcome becomes so overwhelming that it begins to sabotage the very actions needed to achieve it. So why does this happen? Why does desperately chasing something often make it harder to catch? For thousands of years, philosophers, psychologists, and spiritual teachers have all arrived at a surprisingly similar conclusion. The problem isn't desire itself, it's attachment. The tighter we cling to a specific outcome, the more anxious we become, the worse we perform, and the further that outcome seems to drift away. Paradoxically, the moment we learn to loosen our grip is often the moment life begins to move in our favor. But here's where most people get this idea completely wrong. When philosophers talk about letting go or non-attachment, they're not telling you to stop chasing your dreams, stop caring, or become passive. That's one of the biggest misconceptions surrounding this idea. In fact, learning to let go may be the very thing that helps you perform better, build stronger relationships, and achieve the goals you've been struggling to reach. In this video, I'll show you why some of history's greatest thinkers believed attachment is the hidden source of so much unnecessary suffering, what modern psychology has discovered about it, and more importantly, how learning to loosen your grip on life can paradoxically help you gain more than you ever thought possible. The reason desperation works against us has very little to do with luck, fate, or the universe. It has everything to do with the way our minds operate. When we become attached to a particular outcome, we stop seeing it as something we'd like to achieve and start seeing it as something we need to achieve. And the moment something becomes a necessity, our brain treats the possibility of losing it as a threat. Think about walking across a wooden plank lying on the ground. Most people could do it without giving it a second thought. Now imagine taking that same plank and placing it between two skyscrapers. The plank hasn't changed. Your ability to walk hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is what your mind believes is at stake. Suddenly, your heart races. Your palms begin to sweat. Your muscles tighten. Every step feels uncertain. Fear doesn't improve your performance, it interferes with it. Our goals often work the same way. When we tell ourselves, I have to get this job, or this relationship has to work, or my business can't fail, we unknowingly place ourselves on that plank between two skyscrapers. We raise the stakes so high that our fear of failure begins to outweigh our ability to perform. Instead of thinking clearly, we overthink. Instead of acting naturally, we force things. Instead of making wise decisions, we make emotional ones. Ironically, the very attachment that was supposed to help us succeed becomes the obstacle standing in our way. This is why so many people confuse intensity with effectiveness. They believe caring more automatically leads to better results. But caring and clinging are not the same thing. One gives you purpose, the other steals your peace. If attachment makes us anxious and anxiety makes us perform worse, then a strange question begins to emerge. Could the very thing we believe is helping us succeed actually be holding us back? It sounds almost absurd. After all, we're taught from a young age that success belongs to those who want it the most. We admire people who are relentless, obsessed, and willing to sacrifice everything for their goals. Passion is praised, determination is celebrated. So the suggestion that loosening your grip could actually make you perform better seems to contradict everything we've been told. Yet this contradiction appears almost everywhere we look. Psychologists have spent decades studying why elite performers often achieve extraordinary results under immense pressure, while others, equally talented and equally prepared, suddenly fall apart when the stakes become too high. The answer wasn't that one group cared less about winning. In many cases, they cared just as deeply. The difference was where their attention rested in the moment of performance. When athletes describe being in the zone, they rarely talk about the trophy, the crowd, or the consequences of losing. Instead, they describe becoming completely absorbed in the task itself. Time seems to slow down, movements happen without conscious effort, decisions feel almost instinctive. It's as though the mind stops fighting itself and simply allows years of preparation to express themselves naturally. But attachment changes that experience. The moment the outcome becomes more important than the action, the mind divides its attention. Instead of focusing entirely on what needs to be done, part of your awareness drifts toward imagined futures. What if I fail? What will people think? What if this is my only chance? Every one of those thoughts steals a small piece of attention from the present moment, and the present moment is the only place where performance actually happens. When we stop trying to force every moment into producing a specific result, the mind becomes quieter. Decisions become clearer. Creativity returns. Skills that were buried beneath layers of anxiety begin to emerge naturally. Letting go doesn't make you more talented. It simply removes the mental friction that prevents your abilities from expressing themselves. Perhaps that's why some of our best moments in life happen when we stop obsessing over the finish line and become completely immersed in the next step. The paradox isn't that caring less brings success. It's that releasing your attachment to the outcome frees you to give your complete attention to the process. And the process is where success has always been created. Thank you so much for watching.